Welcome to 303 Hoops, a whole lot more than the box score. For you hoop junkies, number nerds, or just someone who loves basketball, this is for the love of the game. Live from 303, I'm Ryan Hinske.
And I am Caleb Bunch. Unfortunately, Kyle wasn't able to join us today, but guys, Kyle will be on soon enough. You'll meet him. He knows ball very, very well. But
he does.
New week, so here we are.
New week and new topics. Trade season has started.
It has.
I don't know if you know this, but trade season has started.
Hey, Trae season.
Ooh. Yeah,
We'll get to that
good.
though. We'll get to
February 5th is
5th.
the deadline. It's always that Thursday at 4 p.m. So that's coming up. So you'll see a lot of that. We're gonna have All-Star Weekend talks coming up as well. But first,
Never
Caleb,
can skip it.
What's your song of the day?
My song of the day, guys, a little unique of a pick today, but it's Real in Rio from the Rio movie. Nothing special about this song. I was just singing it the other day. Great soundtrack, though. You and I were singing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Fly in Love with the Jamie Foxx song.
Jamie Foxx worked on it.
And then some other songs on that track list are very good. So I like that soundtrack from that movie. It's a good movie, too. Love Rio.
I appreciate a soundtrack.
It's important.
Yeah, I really do. Like, that is a whole thing. Like, I don't know if you consider, like, musicals soundtracks, but, like, some people only listen to musicals.
Yeah.
And then other people probably only listen to soundtracks. So if you're one of those people, go listen to the Rio soundtrack, because it is one of the best from an animated movie that I've listened to. Gives me fond memories.
And it's interesting to think about. It's like, I can't really think of too many movies that have explored like South American, Latin American culture.
Yeah.
And Rio does that, I think, very well through, talking birds and talking animals. But yeah, it was a really good movie. I love it. So Real in Rio, that's my song of the day.
I love it. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I went a different route. I went with, I would say my favorite rap album from 2025 now. I can't believe I'm saying last year.
I know, crazy.
But it was Alfredo 2 by Freddie Gibbs.
Such a good
and Gold Feet featuring J.I.D. We were just talking about J.I.D. with some of our friends around the building.
Yes.
We were just talking about rappers and things like that. And
who also had a great 2025 himself.
Yes, and I don't feel like J.I.D. gets enough love in general. Atlanta rapper.
Yeah.
Some great albums in the late 2010s, early 2020s. And Gold Feet is a very good song. The Alchemist was the producer, and The Alchemist is something else. I don't know how he came up with this beat, so just go listen to the beat. It's like a harp. I don't even know what's going on there, but it's
Do you like Alfredo 1 or Alfredo 2 more?
Alfredo 2, I think. Yeah, I've listened to Alfredo 1, but I think listening to Alfredo 2 the night that it came out with my roommate, who's probably the biggest Alchemist fan that there is.
There is.
Was just a great experience.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I will say that for me, I think Alfredo 2 is a more consistent album. Mm-hmm. But the highs of Alfredo 1, for me, trump the highs from Alfredo 2. Like, there's certain moments on Alfredo 1 that I'll never forget. Like, even the intro, 1985.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Freddie Gibbs songs. I love that song so much.
That's a good one.
God is Perfect, Scotty Beam. Those are, like, the highs for me. But I do think Alfredo 2 is a more consistent album.
It is.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. But great albums, both of which they were able to collaborate on. And that is a duo that,
And The Alchemist, man, he's like 55 now.
That's crazy.
Can you believe that?
His bald
I'm
head
sorry
and
if that is incorrect. I'm just gonna make sure, because I would hate
good journalism.
I would hate to say, okay, he's 48.
Aged him 7
I'm
years.
sorry, but it's a testament to how good The Alchemist is.
For a while, he's been around. He's a staple of hip hop, but not quite 55. But he's almost in his 50s.
I always think he's like my dad's age, but my dad is actually 55. And so
he's up there though.
He's up
there though. So he's been around for a while
and doing great work.
But like you said, testament to how long he's been in the game.
Yeah, man.
And speaking of testaments to how long they've been in the game, the Washington Wizards got a new vet, I guess. His name is Trae Young.
A vet. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Trae Young is your vet.
Yeah.
Wow. What a thing to say. But Atlanta was done with him. I think they saw kind of how their season was playing out when he wasn't on the floor versus how he was. They had a losing record when he was on the floor, but they're able to be above 500 without him, right? And Atlanta for the past 6 years feel like they've always been a play-in team. And I think they're kind of sick of that trajectory because I feel like that is the cap or the ceiling they felt like they could have now with Trae Young. And they're really trusting their new star, Jalen Johnson, who more than likely will be an all-star this year, or he should be an all-star, I should say. Obviously, with fan voting and everything else, we don't know how that will play out. But someone who's playing at an all-star level, nearly averaging a triple-double, trusting in him, some of the new pieces that they got with Alexander Walker, Chris Tapps, who's been in and out of the lineup, but Onyeka as well. They can see a future, I guess, with those pieces and building around Jalen Johnson. But he is now in Washington with a younger team, a team that has some young pieces that they can build around. But kind of what were your thoughts on the trade, Ryan? I know you had some with, obviously, CJ being shipped out as well.
Yeah, so finally Trae Young gets traded. I saw the writing on the wall probably 3 years ago.
Right, yeah.
Now, to Atlanta's credit, I kind of feared that when they would trade Trae Young, they'd be selling. Overall, they'd be a selling team. Like, they would be getting rid of contracts and working on draft picks and things like that. To their credit, they are building.
Right.
And this trade is a testament to that they're ready to rid themselves of. And as great as Trae Young is as a passer and a scorer, and like a pick and roll point guard, we saw when they tried to pair him with DeJounte Murray and it just wasn't working, that you weren't going to get that second option. It was just going to be you have one option.
Right. And he's so ball dominant.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's to a point where I'm all for heliocentricity. I think a heliocentric player has a lot of value, in general, because if you can draw two defenders out, we're in a spread out NBA, so someone's open. Right. So I appreciate heliocentric players, but it's just not the way Steph Curry does it, where he can do it off ball as well.
Right, exactly. There's not much attention that he garners from, like you said, kind of off ball play.
Right.
And kind of coming off pin downs and hammer screens as well, right? So it's difficult because it's I don't think players fear Trae Young off the ball, like you said, with the Steph or other players as well. But it is interesting to see this brand of basketball hasn't really been successful. And we've kind of had stars to show for that. The James Harden Rockets come to mind for people that are able to draw attention but are so ball dominant and not necessarily playing off ball. But the one year James Harden did kind of play off ball with Chris Paul was arguably the most successful year in Houston, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to consider. Luka, I think, is starting to put himself into that conversation, right? A player that garners all that attention but has played a lot with the ball in their hands and not as much otherwise. So, questions arise about whether that's a successful brand of basketball and what does the modern NBA and how to succeed. Is it a star like that, like a guard, or is it a big that you have good role players like Jokic, obviously? So kind of some questions that I guess we've had concerning that.
I kind of evaluate players. I say they have 3.5 sides. There's scoring, there's playmaking, which includes passing.
Right.
There's defense, and then the half is playoff performance, playoff and clutch.
And just production.
Pair that together. But with defense, if you put a pie chart of Trae Young and it's what percentage, he's literally the worst defender in the NBA.
Yeah. He's a cone.
The stats would say so. So I think that is important to consider when we're talking about, and I've seen takes that say that the Hawks got fleeced in this trade. They should have gotten picks back. First of all, I'm not sure Trae Young's trade value is very high because it's hard for me to look around the league and see a team that could use him as the number one ball handler. Who needs a number one ball handler?
That's fair.
Washington.
Yeah.
That's probably the only team.
Or a team that is not in playoff contention.
Right. So Washington, to me, had a lot of leverage. When I'm thinking about the negotiation table, I don't think any other teams are coming to that table other than Washington. It's hard for me to think of maybe Brooklyn.
Right.
Maybe. But even
once
that.
Again, another team that is not in playoff contention.
Yeah. But even if I'm like the Kings, I'm not making that move. Like they have some good young players, and they just got Keegan Murray back, and he's playing great. So you got things like that. And they just beat the. They have like a 2-game winning streak right now, so they're doing pretty well.
The Rockets and Lakers.
Yeah.
For the two teams.
There you go.
Yeah.
2 top teams in the West.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what they were going to get out of that trade.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to trade Trae Young. They had to. And I think Corey Kispert is going to be a great addition to a team that is lengthy, defensive, two-way. Like, it's a lengthy team. Quinn Snyder is one of my favorite coaches.
He's amazing.
In the NBA. I thought things were going to get better when they hired him. They did. Now they have some good players with them and made great offseason moves.
Yeah.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker, extremely undervalued player.
Exactly.
And
Chris Tapps, that guy as well.
Craigie too.
Yeah.
Like lights out shooter.
Yeah.
You add Kispert to that,
Yeah.
and
scary.
suddenly you're a top heavy. You're towards the top of the league in spot up shooters. So I love this trade for the Hawks, and then the Wizards need to sell tickets and jerseys. So I like it for the Wizards too.
I disagree a little bit, not necessarily with the Wizards side of the thing. I think this is great for Washington.
Yeah.
Like you said, you get someone who's box office. Like Trae in 2021, I was in Atlanta. People were going to watch Trae Young in 2021. Not as much more recently, just with the injuries, and he's been more inefficient. But when they went on that Eastern Conference Finals run with him, that was a fun team to watch.
It's a jersey you want to buy.
Yeah, and Capella, like.
I don't want to buy a Chris Middleton jersey.
No, I do not. Or a CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
Frankly. Respectfully. But I do think it's a great trade for Washington. They have young players, and I think this is similar to that 2021 team a lot. You have Trae Johnson, who's shooting the ball really at a high clip this year. Great rookie.
Good.
Great pickup for them.
Yeah.
They also have bigs that I think are going to be super effective going forward. Alex Sarr, he's developing. I think he's super underrated. One of the better defensive presences in the paint, especially in the NBA right now, especially for a young player. I think Marvin Bagley, underrated forward, big kind of combo that you can get out of him. Vet that you get good minutes out of. He's going to always play hard, I think. And then you also Champagnie has been playing well for them. So I think this is similar to that 2021 team. I'm not saying they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals anytime soon, but I do think that's a team you can build around and figure out pieces and how to use them well. Now, on the other side for Atlanta, I think they should have got picks. You cannot give up seemingly your best or second best player, and the best you get out of that is CJ McCollum. Because in my opinion, CJ's probably not going to stay there. You get him on his...
I don't really think he's going to play that much, if at
Which, then I'm like, you got nothing.
It's the contract.
Right.
They had to...
Right. You had to get rid of Trae's contract. He's getting paid a buttload of money, right? And you match that with CJ's contract, but then you're going to offload that. You're literally offloading that in the offseason, and you got no picks out of this. So it's I think to build towards the future that Atlanta probably is investing in, right? I think having picks would have helped a lot. Not only for just having young players on their team, because they have enough of that, but also just trade assets. Because you don't really have much trade assets to speak for Trae going forward out of this. And that's my one thing. And it's also you got Trae, who's one of the worst defenders in the league. I'm not saying CJ McCollum's as bad of a defender, but you got an aging CJ McCollum who's 30+, who probably isn't as invested on the defensive side of the ball as he once was in Portland or New Orleans. So it's I don't know. That's my take. But I do think it's a win-win situation.
Because they can pay their young players in the offseason.
Right.
With an expiring McCollum contract.
Yeah.
Now suddenly they can have 3 max players this year that aren't Trae Young.
Exactly. And you're going to have a payday with Jalen Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
The year he's having.
He's getting a max. Super max.
Yeah. Whatever it may be. Because if he makes All-NBA, he's probably, super max this year, which is crazy to think about. Goodness gracious.
With incentives.
Right. But, I think it's a win-win, but I do wish the Hawks got more capital out of this, especially considering where they stand. They're 9th in the East right now, right? So they're going to try to make a push, I guess. I don't know what that looks like. They're 20-22, but they're not far behind is the thing, right?
They're not.
But from 5 seed through 9 seed, where the Hawks stand currently, the Sixers are 22-16, and the Hawks are 20-22. So it's not a big discrepancy between 5 and 9, really, right? So, post All-Star break, we see teams make runs all the time, right? So trying to figure out what that is going to look like for Atlanta, I think is super important. And maybe they do make that push, but who knows? I
don't think they make that push this year, but I think they have their timeline I think they have their timeline right. Actually, I think they got to extend their players. They got to make sure because they still have a lot of rookie contracts and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But they got to make sure they get that down pat and have like good contributors like Nickeil Alexander-Walker still around in a year or two.
Right.
But I think they see that the top of the East is up for grabs after another year or two. Even with Tatum and Halliburton coming back, I still think that they have put the bodies there in Atlanta where they have a very high upside.
Yeah.
A lot of big, lengthy players. They could be the best defense in the NBA in a year or two. I really think so. Mm-hmm. And Quinn Snyder's a genius. If they can keep everything together like that, I think they're looking good, and they know who they need to pay.
Right.
And it was not Trae Young.
Yeah. Jalen Dyson's going to get a contract there. Ricochet will be interesting to see how he develops now, right? You don't have as much of a ball-dominant person, so maybe they'll, I guess like with the ball movement that Quinn Snyder is so infamously known for, right? Yeah. Especially that he was doing in Utah. We'll see what that looks like for the development of Ricochet.
Can a Kongwu put on a few more pounds,
right.
maybe? That would maybe make a difference.
No, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So, and then Asa Newell, I love that pick out of him. So we'll see how he develops as well.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see out of Atlanta. They got some young talent down there. Exactly.
I mean, if you're not excited about trade season after that conversation, then I don't know what you're going to be excited for.
Right.
Because I feel like that was, I don't know. I learned a lot getting your perspective out of that. I do think there's a good argument to be made that the Hawks should have gotten a pick or two out of that, or at least another trade asset.
Yeah.
But we got to move on. Alas, we have to move on. And we're going to go to college. And, really a lot's been happening. Iowa State fell last night by a lot. At the number 2 position.
Yeah.
In the AP rankings. It
Lost
seems no one can really stay on top. Arizona for now.
Right.
But do I really believe they'll stay on top?
Who knows? Because we thought, you and I were talking about Michigan. We thought they were kind of the juggernaut in college basketball.
They lost to Wisconsin on a random Saturday.
At home.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting to see. But college has been happening a lot. But as it's the new year, that means we are a month closer to our arguably favorite time of the year, March. So we're going to give you some it's not even early, conference play has already started, but some pre-March predictions for who kind of are our top teams, particularly who are our 1 seeds. There are a lot of cases to be made from resumes that we've seen. Ken Palm has a lot of rankings out, obviously. But yeah, just evaluating some teams. But Ryan, I know that you love Big East basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this top team that we have right here.
Uh-huh.
You want to make a case for them as a 1 seed?
Yeah, so I wonder, because we have 7 teams on here that I think it's subjective. We have our own opinions in here for sure. But, I think these are the best 7 resumes in basketball, which is UConn, Michigan, Arizona, Duke, Iowa State, Purdue, and Vandy.
The Commodores.
Who, if you look at all the advanced stats, despite having a little bit of an
easier schedule,
they look really good. Now they're going to have to play some tough SEC teams, but I will start with UConn because I'll start with the Big East. They played a lot of Big East games already, and they're 7-0.
Right.
They have played some impressive Big East teams.
Yeah, they just beat Seton Hall.
They did, who's
in
ranked
Jersey
now.
Yeah.
After Seton Hall went from worst to first. Not first, but
one of the better teams in the Big East.
And one of the things about that, this is really quick, but they won the NIT.
Yes,
won the NIT 2 years ago, and they actually were kind of. Holloway was a little bit we lost in the transfer portal because we were still playing basketball. And it's is the NIT worth it in the NIL era?
That's a good question.
Because the transfer portal is early.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And I think there should be rules in place there because they really got the short end of the stick and didn't have any good transfers because they were all gone already.
But he's an amazing coach.
And they're back.
Yeah,
But UConn, they are so impressive. They're AP number 3 right now. Their only loss is against current number 1 Arizona by 4 points.
Close game.
They've beaten BYU, Illinois, Kansas, Florida, Texas, DePaul twice, and then Seton Hall and Providence is a really good Big East team this season as well. So they have a good resume.
That's a great,
especially non-con. Great resume there. Having to play some really good teams. And they have, I love Terrace Reed. Terrace Reed is one of my favorite players in college basketball.
You were talking about him before the season started, right? Slowing down Zuby Ejiofor. So
I kind of thought that he would be the center and the big guy of this team. And against Seton Hall last night, 33 minutes, 21 points, 8 of 13 shooting, 9 rebounds, and 3, count 'em, blocks.
3. 1, 2, 3.
So I love Terrace Reed in this team. They bring the veteran leadership with Alex Caravan because he's old.
Right.
And he's won 2 national championships, trying to get a third. And I think right now I would put them at the overall number 1 seed in the bracket.
I'm not mad at that. Their resume speaks for itself. And Hurley, I remember last year, or was it 2 years ago, right, when they went to Maui and kind of had like a disaster start to a season, was like, we're not doing these travel tournaments anymore.
To Maui. Where
and it was
here
like,
in Hawaii.
Exactly. And people are like, what? Like, how are they going to schedule good games? Right. But he's been like super like reliant on out-of-conference schedule this season, right, with all the teams you mentioned. And they've had great wins over all those teams. I think the most impressive one was the BYU victory in the Garden. I thought that they looked great as a team. That BYU team is looking really good this year. So just a really good, solid win. And then the Illinois win by double digits was also super big for them and confidence boost. But I have no qualms with UConn as the number 1. I might have personal bias against that, but that's a great pick.
I think they can counter every team in college basketball. They have an answer for everyone. I don't think they have any glaring weaknesses. And like against DePaul, for instance, which they played 2 games at DePaul, and both games they relied heavily on Silas Demery Jr., who's not necessarily your primary ball handler. No. He's not necessarily your top scorer. But in that game, and they have a very impressive freshman in Braylon Mullins as well.
Shoot the lights out.
And he came from Indiana. And they were talking about how did IU miss this guy? But it's because you want to play for Dan Hurley, right?
Exactly.
Demery, they just answered all of DePaul's defensive. Like DePaul might be a top 3 defense in the Big East, so they're playing like it's really tough to play DePaul, and they always just kind of brought DePaul into the paint, very slowly over the course of the drive because they have a lot of big guys that are really good in the paint, and then kick it out to Demery. And I haven't seen them play that way against other teams. And their game plan is so different depending on who they play, and that's because Dan Hurley is a genius. Now I pass it over to you.
I'm gonna give you 2 teams. And I think these are 2 teams that we can pretty much agree on unanimously, right? Arizona and Michigan, both been super dominant this year. Arizona has victories over a Florida team who has season like problems or woes early, but has come on recently. So I kind of view that win higher than I might have previously. So they have wins over them. They have wins over, like you already mentioned, UConn, and an Alabama team that has been super fun to watch. You and me have talked about that this year. And also they had closer victories against Utah, which was early on close, but then they pulled away, which is, I think, an underrated Utah team. Their record doesn't necessarily indicate that this year, but I think that's a Utah team that's pretty good in Pac-12 play, or formerly Pac-12, Big 12 now. And then Michigan, the Wolverines. That is a team that has steamrolled people. We talked about the Gonzaga game outside. They won by 40 points against a top 10 team this year, 61-101. They also steamrolled Auburn, who I think is also better than the record indicates. They've been playing a tough conference and schedule this year. And then they also have wins over, at the time, a ranked USC team. And then the rest of their games have just been blowouts pretty much.
To your point, they're the only team that's beaten UConn.
Yeah. So I think like both of these teams, number 1 overall seed or number 1 seeds, whether they're ranked, as a 2 overall, 3 overall, but I think both of us can agree that both of these teams.
I love that pick. I really do. And then Michigan, right?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Michigan, steamrolling teams, beating Gonzaga by 40.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. I meant Arizona is the only team that's beaten.
Yes.
Now Michigan did have that loss, which I did watch that whole
Wisconsin,
game against Wisconsin, and it was interesting. And I think like for me, I don't have a lot of trust in Elliot Cadeau in the late game.
Yeah.
That was
Been
showing.
streaky.
Yeah, that was really showing it. Its teeth, if you will.
Yeah.
There, they were fouling a lot, at the end there, and they, Wisconsin was right there in the rebounding battle, and they got 8 offensive boards,
which is
Wisconsin
surprising
did.
because usually Michigan.
They were undersized too.
Exactly.
Wisconsin. Yeah.
Michigan
And usually,
Michigan just out rebounds people.
Usually.
Because both of their wings, Yaxel, and then what's the other guy's name? Johnson, I think. Yeah,
Morris Johnson.
Usually will crash the boards very well for them, but not this game. And then Namari Burnett, who has played well for them throughout the year, didn't have a great game either against Wisconsin. So other than that, I think Michigan, though.
Other than that, agree.
Great resume.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the real question then is who's the other 1 seed for you? Like, who's that 4th team that you look at and think? Because we have a lot of teams. Purdue can make a case. Iowa State definitely had a case before last night. They're probably still 1 seed maybe. And then Duke, Vanderbilt. There's a lot of teams we can discuss here. So who's that 4th team for you?
I know who you are gonna say. I really do think I'm gonna go with Purdue.
Okay.
Because I think they're better. Maybe their resume isn't as good as Duke's. Like Duke, and listen, they got steamrolled by Iowa State. They lost 81-58 on December 6th. But other than that, they have been really strong. Yeah. They beat Texas Tech by 30. They beat Alabama.
Another good game. Yep.
Right. They beat Memphis in a neutral place. Auburn, who was ranked. I don't believe
they were
anymore.
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have a lot of tests coming up. But like they were supposed to be the overall 1 seed at the beginning of the season. And it's like, well,
and they were our pick to win Big Ten.
Right. And like to me, sure, they had that loss against Iowa State. But has that much changed from the team that they were preseason to where they are now?
Right. I don't think so. They're still playing at a high level.
They are.
But that's the one game, which was an ugly game for them.
And every time I watch Duke, there's points in the game where I'm like, they're going to lose.
Yeah. I've had that feeling as a Dookie.
Yeah. And then they somehow win.
Yeah.
But is that going to get you through
March?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Purdue. I assume you're going to go with...
I am going to go with Duke.
Yeah.
I am going to go Duke. And I do agree with you. We have looked shaky in a lot of ACC play. Like, that Florida State game had me nervous. The Georgia Tech game had me nervous.
Yeah.
Both of which should have been easy wins. And then even the SMU game I was a little nervous about. They're a better team than both of those. But I was a little concerned at home that we're playing SMU that close. But I do think the resume speaks for itself. You have wins against Florida, who's a ranked team. You got wins against Michigan State. You got wins against a Kansas team that was at the time ranked. And then even though you lost to them, you were up 16 at one point against Texas Tech, which does indicate something, even though it was a loss at the end of the day. I do think that's important. You also have wins against a Louisville team that's ranked. So I think that's a big resume. And it's important. It's not the same ACC as last year, so I do think that a lot of the committee valuing conference play will be super important, especially for the ACC this year. So
huge question mark there.
Yeah. Virginia's looked better. Even Louisville, like I know they have a lot, like not as good of a record as we might have thought up to this point, but they've been injured, but they've been a good team so far, right? So
let the record show they've been very injured.
So I do
Let
think
me just say that.
Duke, exactly, Mikael Brown, they need you back. Yeah. But I do think that Duke will be that 4th team if they keep up the play. But I do think that Vanderbilt, if they continue playing like they have been, will have something to say. Iowa State, we talked about, had a really good resume beforehand. But I do think UConn, Michigan, and Arizona, I do think are the 3 teams that you can definitively be like, yeah,
I agree.
They're 1 seeds right now.
They are. Yeah. There's no question in my mind those are the top 3. Now let's do quick hits.
Yes.
On Iowa State and Vanderbilt. Iowa State lost to Kansas last night. What do we think about that and the Big 12 as a whole?
I am not too concerned about that loss. It was by a lot, which was like a little glaring, but they played really poorly. Shot the ball not great.
Didn't put a lot of points on.
Did not put a lot of points on the board, and that was a team that had Darren Peterson playing. That Kansas team, the dynamic shifts completely when he plays. You and me aren't necessarily fond of him being like in and out, kind of like this streaky, like let me sub myself out play, because you and me, I think, are a little old school in that regard. Like if you're going to play, play. If you're not, you're not. But that is a different Kansas team, so I'm not too concerned about Iowa State. And I do think the Big 12 is one of the best conferences in basketball. So their resume will speak for itself at the end. But Vanderbilt, I think, is the most interesting team.
Yeah.
5th on KenPom, you pulled that up, which I thought was insane.
In net rating.
So,
but you have to factor in strength of schedule with net rating.
Right.
But they have been their strength of schedule has been more difficult than Iowa State, Gonzaga, and Houston as well, who are also in the top 10 of KenPom. So it's not like they're it's like everyone has a hard strength of schedule and
this
they
Vanderbilt,
don't. Yeah. But it'll be interesting. I gotta, but now I'm like, oh boy, I got to see what they're up to tonight. Mm-hmm. And they're definitely a team that before the season started, I wasn't circling them on my calendar.
No one's radar.
So they will be exciting to follow.
And their women's team is playing well, which if you guys are tuning in to the pre-wrap, they will talk about that. So shameless plug for our other podcast. But, we're here on the 303, but there's other talent you guys got to check out. So the pre-wrap, they're talking women's college basketball, and their Vanderbilt Commodores women's team, they're undefeated to this point. So it's also another team to watch out for.
And we should say that we are Wednesdays now.
Yes.
And we have a lot of exciting content coming your way from the 303.
Exactly.
We've got, 7, 8 podcasts that will all be up and running if they aren't already, which you've probably seen.
Right. Like we got Center Cup, that's up already now. We got Dialed In with Colin and Ryan as well. Ryan Curtin. And then obviously us in the pre-wrap. So
we got men's and women's basketball, football, golf, much more coming your way.
Much more to come. But every Wednesday, you can tune in here. This has been 303 Hoops. Until next time.